Hello, and welcome to the John and Adrian podcast. I'd like to start the show off by thanking whoever may be listening to this. This is currently a work in progress, and every week will slowly but surely be improving. Most likely, you're currently listening to the show on YouTube, but we are also just working on porting our show over to other apps like Spotify and Apple Podcast and that type of thing. So we'd like to start the show off with John. What is our first topic?
First up, we have the Grizzlies, Trailblazers, Suns trio. Who gets into the eighth and why you think they'll be in there?
Dancy, Dancy. All right, who do you think? Who you got? Who's your horse to get
Well,
beaten by the Lakers?
at the moment, the Grizzlies are guaranteed the play-in game, and I believe you said the Blazers and Suns are playing right now.
No, the Suns won. So realistically, right
Oh,
now,
so it's if the Blazers
if the
get
Blazers win, then they play the Grizzlies. If they lose, then the Suns play the Grizzlies.
got you. I think most likely the Blazers will win, so it'll probably be Blazers Grizzlies. And between the two of them, probably the Blazers. They have Dame, and that's enough to beat the Grizzlies. Um, so I have probably the Blazers beating the Grizzlies, and it's just a one game, right? Not a
Uh,
series.
that I don't know actually. Uh, I believe from my understanding, it is just a play-in game, not a play-in series.
Okay, yeah, in one game, I think the Blazers win. The Grizzlies have a better shot in one game though, so I wouldn't be surprised. They are both 34 and 39,
Well,
but
the
I'd probably say the
Grizzlies,
Blazers.
the Grizzlies, as a matter of fact, they have been not that great in this NBA bubble. If you look at it, like they have lost a lot of games. They should have because the only reason there's a play-in game is because the ninth seed is within 4 games of the eighth seed, right?
Hmm.
If the Grizzlies would have taken care of business and won like 3 or 4 more games, they wouldn't be in this
Mm,
situation to begin with. They would just have it. So, yeah, whoever plays the Grizzlies, I think, is going to beat them.
yeah. The Grizzlies are definitely not what I would think of clutch coming in to
No,
actually win it in the end.
which is, it's crazy, is like the Suns run in the bubble. If you look at it, they're 8-0. They have not lost a game. So, honestly, I think if the Suns luck out, yeah, I think they could be a real
They
threat.
could make it in, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
And then you have a legitimate conversation. The undefeated team going up against the one seed. Maybe they will upset the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't think any of the 8 seeds though can or any of the 3 teams that could go up against the Lakers have a real shot of beating them.
No, they don't.
Like I
The
know,
Blazers, if who's their center they have that's injured?
no, I don't think he's Jokic is you're talking about.
I think that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
I don't think he's injured. I think for a matter of fact, he's actually playing right now against the Nets. So
For
yeah,
real?
yeah, I think he's fine because we have to remember a lot of players that were hurt got enough recovery time
Oh yes, they
from
did.
the delay of play. So it's just it's weird. I don't
I forget that the season is continuing when the next season should be starting. It's
know.
been
Right?
a
Yeah,
while.
it's weird. The season would have already ended by now when
Hmm.
this new season would have been starting. So I don't know, but yeah, it's also an interesting thing when you think about it. Like what happens to players on that contract, right? Like did they just get lost? Whatever.
Hmm.
Um, did you the Washington Wizards I think is hilarious because they were 0-7 going into today and
Hmm.
they beat the Celtics for their going away party because they're the ninth. They're technically the 10th, but since the Charlotte Hornets weren't invited to the bubble, they're the ninth seed. So
Oh,
that's I don't know. I think that's funny, just on the Wizards' end, how they're just so terrible, just utterly
mhm.
terrible, terrible top to bottom. And then the East Conference is actually all their matchups are set because
Yeah.
tomorrow the Heat is it the Heat and Pacers play tomorrow?
Yes.
So they play tomorrow, but they're the 4 and the 5 seed, so it's really just a matchup to see who's the 4 and who's the 5.
Yeah.
So,
But that has ramifications onto who goes on to play either the Bucks or Raptors in the next round.
actually, yeah, that could be. Wait, no.
No, it doesn't. Never mind. Edit this out.
It doesn't. No, I'm gonna
It
leave it
doesn't.
in.
Basketball's different.
Yeah, basketball is different. It's just straight up
If you're the 4 or
1 through
5,
8.
you go on to the 1 no matter
Yeah.
what.
So, yeah. So the entire Eastern Conference is set essentially. So the Bucks play the Magic, Toronto plays Brooklyn, Boston plays Philadelphia, and then the Heat play the Pacers. So we could probably, I don't know. What do you think?
What do you mean? What do I think in like bracket? Like, how do I have it playing out
Yeah. If so, the playoffs
in
start
the
here.
East?
Yeah. So let's start
Well,
with the Bucks
obviously, I
and the.
think I think the top 4 teams are going to win their series: the Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, and Heat.
I think the 4 and 5 is a little bit more difficult because you have the Heat,
Victor
which
Oladipo's not playing. I don't think the
is he not?
Pacers will win the series.
Well, the Pacers have what's his name, T.J. Warren, I believe, and he is hot, like really hot in the
Are
bubble.
there any major players sitting out of the playoffs?
No, everyone that's in the bubble is playing the bubble. Actually, no. Earlier today, it was announced that Russell Wilson is gonna miss
Russell
the first.
Westbrook?
Russell Westbrook is gonna miss the first couple games of the playoffs. So
Okay, but
I
in the East, everyone's there.
everyone's there unless there's like a horrific injury to the Nets in this game, or is there anyone playing
Yeah,
tomorrow? Actually, yeah, pretty much everyone in the East is playing tomorrow. So unless there's a horrific history, like, but none of those games actually matter in terms of seeding. So
yeah.
unless there's a horrific injury in any of those.
Okay. Yeah, so given that, I think the top 4 teams are going to be the top 4 teams. I mean, the Heat and Pacers have the same record, but if you look at their rosters and their abilities, they're very far apart. And I think the Heat are significantly better. They were the 2 seed up until this bubble thing, right? Before
I
the break, I thought
believe
they were top 2.
I'm not sure. No, they couldn't have been because the Toronto's so far ahead. Um, I think
So
I
they
think they were
lost
the
2
three.
before.
Yeah, I think they were the three before, and now they're the four because the Celtics are. Yeah, the Celtics have been doing good in the bubble compared to the Heat, I suppose.
Yeah. So I've got the top 4. Do you
I
not?
I think the Pacers do have a shot of beating the Heat, if not taking the game to 7, because the 76ers, yeah, because the Pacers just they're playing better than what they should be playing, mainly because of that of their one guy that's dropping 40 a game essentially. I think he's averaging 40.
Mm. So you have them as underdog, but winning still against the Heat.
It's a close one if they do win. That's what I think. Yeah,
If the Heat win, though, you don't think it's a close one.
I think it's a close one either way, honestly.
Okay.
Because the Heat, it's a good team, but there's no one that pops out. And the Bucks are the Bucks. They're gonna murder the Magic. And then Boston is Ben Simmons out? Ben Simmons is out, right?
I don't know. I don't care about the 76ers. They're gonna lose either way in my mind.
Yeah, Boston is just better than them, huh?
I think so.
And then Toronto.
Boston with Kyrie, I think, is better than that
Uh, I like the Isaiah Thomas Boston. That was my favorite. Isaiah Thomas doesn't get enough love, honestly.
because that's the only team he's ever been significant with.
Hey man, you just gotta be good one year, all right? You don't have to be good 24/7. Look at all the bubble players. Look at the people that are popping off in the bubble. All right, they're good. They're good. So Toronto, which is surprising. I thought they'd be terrible this year, or not terrible, but not the number 2 seed.
Not number two, yeah. That's why I was surprised looking at it. I was surprised the Heat fell all the way down to four. I would have thought the Heat would be flipped with the Raptors at this point, or at least the Celtics two and the Heat three. But I definitely didn't see the Raptors being top two.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's because of Ibaka and Siakam.
Yeah,
They
they balled out.
performed very well this season. It kind of makes you wonder, did they grow from last season to this season, or did Kawhi outshine them so much that they couldn't do what they can do now?
Well, yeah, it's probably just Kawhi taking minutes, or not minutes, but just Kawhi
The
demanding
ball.
more attention. And then
So, do you want to go on to the West or continue the Eastern Conference all the way through?
yeah, we can do all the way through.
All right.
So we have
So,
the Bucks.
round two.
So Bucks. I'll say for benefit's sake, I'll say the Heat win. But even then, I don't think whoever the Bucks have to face out of Heat in Indiana, I think they're still gonna win.
Probably, I agree with that.
Yeah. So
I
it's
think
really
the
unoriginal.
Celtics probably beat the Raptors. Maybe that's a good upset, but the Bucks I think beat the Pacers or the Heat. It's not really a contest.
No, it's just I don't know why. Like obviously I know the Greek Freak is just stupid
Yeah,
good. But it's just like there's just no one like the Bucks, I suppose. Yeah.
and then I feel like it doesn't. I think the Bucks win. I think the Bucks win the East. I don't really see a scenario where they don't.
I'd give it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like there's really no argument. They're just that much better than everyone else in the East. Like
It's weird though, because like the Western Conference, let's say the Clippers didn't have who they have, you could say definitely the Lakers were the best team, and you could give reasons why.
yeah.
The East, it's like the Bucks are the best team because they have Giannis. And you're like, well, the Celtics have Kyrie, the Heat have Butler, the 76ers have Embiid in them, but it's like, but the Bucks have Giannis. And it's like, you can't really give another good reason besides the coach, probably. Yet they just stand that far ahead of everyone else in the East. I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, there's not that much. Obviously, they're talented. It's a talented team for them to be winning as much as they're winning. But it's like in
Yeah.
terms of stars, yeah, it really is just him. And it's like I believe it's this off season that he's free, right? So it's gonna be a mash dash to whoever can get him.
hmm
And like,
Which I think, so let's say hypothetically they win. Do you think he does what Kawhi does, where he's like, I won here, I can go win somewhere else? Or does he stay and try to continue winning there?
so like you're talking win as in get a title, MVP, everything.
Yes, I'm talking if he is undisputably the best player in the playoffs, and they are the best team in the playoffs, and they win the title, and he wins MVP, does he stay or leave?
That goes down to the question as so that's assuming that that's the only thing keeping him there, right? Because I feel like I don't think he would, because I don't see him staying to begin with, right? And I feel like a lot of players that don't want to stay, a ring isn't gonna entice them to stay longer, right?
Yeah.
Because like
So
it's
you think he
rare.
doesn't like Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean, what do you have in Milwaukee? There's nothing there. Like it's the reason small market teams can never sustain success, right? It's just that they don't have anything to offer.
No, does Giannis strike you as the type of player who like wants to be in a big market though? Like obviously, if you want to make the most money, but I feel, do you think he would choose a market over a winning culture that he has in Milwaukee?
Uh,
Because think about where he could possibly, like what teams could afford him that have the money to give him and the market, right? Like theoretically, he'd be going to maybe the 76ers or the Heat, but most likely he'd pull LeBron and leave and go to the West and he'd join, I don't even, the Spurs maybe. Do you think those teams are better options than what he has right now?
it comes down to money, and I I feel like teams that want players find a way to get players. Like if you look at the Warriors dynasty, yeah, they might have not made the playoffs and whatnot this year, but like they're still a team next year when fully healthy and with the draft picks that they have that is going to contend, right?
Yeah.
So, and they're
But
most
think
likely going
about
to pull in another player this year too.
probably, but that's because they still are loaded. Like they lost one player in the offseason. He's arguably the best player, but they lost one player and they kept everyone else. So Giannis, on the other hand, losing one player isn't like the Warriors losing KD. KD was almost a luxury for them. They didn't need him to win,
Yeah.
but they were definitely going to win with him.
Yeah.
So with the Bucks losing Giannis, I feel like
They're
the
done.
Bucks become almost irrelevant
Yeah, they're done.
unless they do what the Raptors did this year and they miraculously bounce back.
There's some
But
rookies in there that are just stupid, right?
yeah, but then Giannis leaving, is he going to have the impact on a team the way KD or LeBron James would? Because if he does, then he can go to a bad team and start winning. But I think a lot of the reasons there's kind of feeling that he wants to leave Milwaukee is because he has frustrations with the lack of winning,
Mm,
the lack of going all the way. And so I think to him, the only reason he would leave is he felt that the other team was going to give him a better shot at winning the title, not for the money or something. And I don't see him really teaming up with someone like the Lakers or the Clippers. I just don't feel like those teams can afford to pay him what he obviously deserves to be paid. So I don't think he'd take a big chunk of money to go to a bad team,
yeah.
which would leave him to pretty much just stay with the Bucks.
Yeah. Well, the Lakers and the Bucks are the only teams that have his brothers on the roster, and I feel like the only reason that they are on their roster is as a way to kind of entice Giannis into staying or coming to said team. He's a family man, as we all know.
If the Lakers were to go after Giannis, they would have to
They
give
go after
up
anybody.
a
Every
lot of their
every
players,
year
though.
there's like a
They
star
do,
player
but
that
every
comes
year
out.
they've had the money to do it, and every year they haven't had a star player up until now. Now they have LeBron and AD.
Well, no, they
They
have
have
to sign
Kuzma.
80 again.
He'll sign again. I mean,
Yeah.
even if they don't win it this year, I think he'll sign again. So they would have, and also think of the people they'd have to cut, and then the people
What,
that
like
they'd have to
JR,
take
Doc
down a little
Rivers,
bit. Yeah, I don't think Rondo would still be on the team.
he's too
Kuzma
old
might not
anyways.
even be. Like, we would be the Lakers would be such a top heavy team. Do you think it would be good for them to have Giannis?
I mean, if you look at the Warriors, they're a top heavy team as well. Doesn't seem to be a
Okay,
bad
but
factor.
they haven't won being a top heavy team. They won having a good bench. the last season they were a top heavy team, and half the top got injured, and then they didn't win
Yeah,
because
you're right.
one guy couldn't do it.
You're right. Yeah. Top heavy is good if everyone's healthy, but the moment someone goes down, the whole
Hmm.
ship is going down.
And AD and LeBron don't necessarily have best longevity streaks as of late.
Right. Honestly, I'm really upset that we didn't get Boogie fully operational. That's one of my biggest, like, saddest. I don't know.
Everyone's upset they didn't get Boogie fully operational in their city.
Right. I don't know. Just did he play for the Warriors or was he hurt the entire time?
He was hurt the whole time. In every championship photo, he just looks genuinely unhappy because he knows he did nothing to get that.
That's the same thing as I believe. I forget who, but there's another player that came out was like with that same sentiment of like, yeah, I have a ring, but just sat there. Um, so okay, so the entire East is set, and I believe
Mhm.
the West is essentially set, except for I know for a fact that the Clippers are playing the Mavericks, and then other than that, I believe there could be some movement in that 4 and 5,
But
6
that doesn't
range.
really make a difference. There's still,
Well,
I
okay,
mean, so all of the teams
Denver
have
is the
44
three.
wins.
So the 1, 2, 3,
1,
four
2, 3,
is set.
7
No, actually, the
set.
4 is not set, but the one,
1, 2,
two,
3, 7.
7 is set. Yeah, the four,
So
five,
then
six is
the
moving.
outliers are 4, 5, 6 could move. But could it move enough where the Jazz jump to 4? Or is it just like, or I guess it doesn't make a difference. Either way, you're moving out of the entirely set of your bracket.
I
Because right now
believe.
the Jazz are set to play the Nuggets, right?
Well, no, actually,
So
the only so Houston and Oklahoma City still have to play, or are they playing right now?
they're going to play in the playoffs right now, if it started right
If
now.
right now, yeah. I'm just so today. So the Trailblazers are in the lead right now with a minute left in the game. So we'll have that little update here in a minute. So tomorrow, the Nuggets Raptors are playing, but that game means nothing. The Heat Pacers are playing, and that game means nothing. The Thunder are playing the Clippers tomorrow, and the Rockets are playing the 76ers tomorrow. So I believe, actually, no, I think. Hold up. Actually, I think it is set because the Rockets. Actually, no. I think the Jazz could jump to 5, and the Rockets or the Thunder could drop to 6. I'm not quite sure though. I think it's set, but there's probably somewhere tiebreaker from way back that's gonna move them, right? I don't know. So the Jazz are set. They just I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's really just we'll have to see. But that's for right now as it stands. The Thunder play the Rockets, and the Jazz play the Nuggets.
Let's see. The Thunder play the Clippers, and the 76ers play the Rockets tomorrow.
Yes.
And then the playoffs start.
Yes.
So
The Clippers are probably going to throw.
if
And
both those teams, let's just say both those teams lose, nothing changes. And if
if
both
both
those
those teams
teams
win,
wins,
nothing
nothing changes.
changes.
If one loses or one wins, all they do is flip from 4 to 5.
I believe. But then one of those teams will have the same record as the Jazz, and I don't know where that funkiness, right, would settle, right?
I would think if the Rock, well, I would think that they would still stay ahead of them.
Um, actually, I think so. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I really
Let's
don't know.
just assume,
Let's
for the
just
sake
assume
of this
simplicity.
little bracket, that the
They both
Thunder
win.
and Rockets are set,
Yeah. If
and so
not,
are the Jazz.
if
The
not,
only
we'll.
outlier being the Trailblazers or the
Mhm.
Suns. And
Grizzlies.
I'm gonna say the Trailblazers.
I think the Suns, but realistically, it doesn't matter because I really think the Lakers are just gonna beat whoever the eighth seed is.
Yeah.
Like, I know people are
So
saying there's
the
no.
Western Conference, I think, is a lot more interesting because I would personally like to see the Mavericks upset the Clippers. I think that'd be a much more fun playoffs. I am not aware. Have the Clippers or Mavericks been doing good or bad in the bubble? You
Uh,
need to update me on that. Do you know?
they both those teams have won 3 games in the bubble, and that's it.
So they're both
But it's also one
mediocre
of
in the
those
bubble.
things where both those teams only really needed to win three
Yeah.
games, right?
So they didn't. The Mavericks are obviously. I mean, they're 10 games ahead of the Grizzlies, and the Clippers are pretty much solidified as the 2 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well, going into
even if the
this, it
Nuggets had
was
won out.
the Lakers realistically only need to win 1 game to solidify the one.
Hmm.
The Clippers really only need to
Yeah.
win like 1 or 2 games to solidify the two, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the eighth seed. That's why there were so many more teams on the West that got in than the East because
Yeah.
the gap for the eighth was so much closer. Even yeah. So honestly, yeah, I agree with you on that. That I really do want Dallas to beat the Clippers. I just feel like that'd be better for everyone. And I just think the Clippers are doo doo. It's very doo doo.
You're just a Lakers fan.
No,
It's got
no,
nothing to
it's
do.
just objectively, the Clippers are doo doo. They are utterly doo doo. All right, what do you got?
No,
Kawhi,
objectively,
Paul
Paul
George,
George is not
doo doo,
good, but the rest of the team is very good. Okay.
doo doo, across the board.
So
Doo doo.
realistically, I think the Clippers are going to beat the Mavericks.
And I say
Um,
realistically that the Mavericks are going to own school and everything else in between.
you really think Mark Cuban's gonna pull it off? I don't.
He's
Shark
not the
Tank.
coach. All right. Yeah. Do I believe in their foreign white powerhouses? Yes, I do. All right. Luka
Is
Doncic and the
Porzingis playing?
unicorn. Yes.
Yes. Is he playing well?
See, but you
Yeah.
you asked that, but realistically, no one has to be playing well on those teams. Like it really doesn't matter. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
look up his stats
I'm
real
going to
quick.
say
Oh, I
did they
can't
hadn't
look.
played together during the regular season.
You know,
The
they did
bubble was
this
the
year.
first
This
time they
year,
played
they
together.
have
They did?
this year. Yeah. Okay. I can't seem to track down bubble stats because they just get lumped in with this year's overall stats. But overall, he's averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and like 2 assists.
It's pretty good.
So it's good numbers. And then
But I mean you could probably look at the Clippers stat line and see better numbers and more. The thing about the Clippers is you're getting at least mediocre production from your entire starting lineup versus the Mavericks. You're betting on A+ production from your two white boys. So I don't know.
well, you're forgetting Seth Curry. All right, the arguably better Curry. All right, he has a
He
better
might be
three.
better
He has
in
a three.
NBA Live or something or 2K. I am aware of his higher rating, but he is not genuinely better than Steph Curry.
He has a better career 3-point percentage than Steph Curry. So I'll
He's
just
shot less.
better 3-point percentage. Percentages is what matters. That's how we judge everyone. And
I mean,
he's
by
better.
that logic, doesn't Shaq have a better 3-point percentage than Ben Simmons? Like, come
Ben Simmons is doo doo.
on.
Honestly, I hate that story that comes out of the 76ers camp every single year. Is like, are they going to trade Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? Like, come on, guys. Like,
And all of them are gonna end up just walking. You're not gonna
yeah,
get anything for them.
you're not the 76ers. You guys tanked, yeah, but like, you guys aren't gonna do it. You just
Trust the process, bro.
no. I
You
mean, it worked out.
unbeliever.
Genuinely, they got good players from it. It's
They
just,
did.
it's trash, trash, it's trash.
Did they change their whatchamacall, their coaching or their executives at all during
Uh,
the tank? Because like just because you know
oh,
how to tank doesn't mean you know how to rebuild.
oh no, yeah, no. The main guy, I forget his name, but yeah, no, they did fire him. The main guy that was like,
Mm.
let's tank, let's tank. Yeah, they fired him, and then like a year later, everyone was like, holy shit, he was
You
right.
know what? They fired him because the people were like, he's like, let's tank, let's tank. They got Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. He's like, this isn't enough. We need to tank one more year. They're like, no,
No,
no
they
more
fired him
tanking.
before they got Joel, I believe.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, or, yeah. Forget his name. Should probably know his name, but so long ago. Who cares?
Tank, Mr. Tank Man. That's all you need to
Yeah,
know. The
Tinky
guy who said
Tinky,
they should tank.
Tinky Tank boy. Um, there's the
So
well, actually, I want to go back to the Lakers and just talk about
yeah,
how the narrative of like there's really no home court advantage. The Lakers have been sucking in the bubble, this and that. It's all malarkey, honestly.
you
Like
need to win 2 games
you
to
won
secure the
two,
one seed.
yeah, won two
And
games and
you
then
don't even play
dipped.
your starters for the
Yeah,
rest of the bubble.
and so honestly, I feel like that's what every team. If you look at like Toronto, Boston, Toronto and Boston, they needed to win to get higher. Like
Hmm.
so, they won, and like teams like the middle teams where they knew their position are mediocre. The top teams are doo doo in the bubble, and then same thing with the bottom teams. They're good in the bubble because they needed to win to get the
Yeah.
opportunity. So you really can't get anything right now from bubble. We're just gonna have
Hmm.
to wait and see playoff time, like because it's also another thing. Players can actually shoot better in the bubble because um, in a normal basketball arena, there's this big like empty space behind the backboard, right? In the
Hmm.
bubble, it's literally backboard and then like a wall. So like it's so much easier.
Hmm.
You know it's right there. Uh, yeah, Lakers are gonna kill whoever the eighth seed is. Honestly, the Rockets without Russell Westbrook, I think are doo doo. Um,
I think the Rockets in general are bad because they have James Harden, and you can't win with him relying on him as much as you do. Even if you like, I hate everyone's like he's making 60 shots a night or he's getting 60 points a night. He's shooting all this. He's making all these. He's carrying the team. I'm like, no, he's getting 60 points because he's taking 60 shots. Okay, going 30 for 60 does not make you a good player. It just means your coach is allowing you to control the ball 80% of the time.
yeah, I
It
think
doesn't make you good.
that's one of my favorite stats to look at is uses percentage. Like, yes, this player is a good player, but compared to like this player, he's used like 80% of the time
Yeah.
compared to 20% of the time. Like, of course he's going to have better numbers because he just has more opportunity to get better numbers. So I think Thunder, which is another wonderful story from this season. Everyone
Hmm.
thought they were going to be doo doo, like mad doo doo.
They were supposed to be where the Warriors are right now,
hmm
and they came back. They were
Chris
like, no,
Paul
we're
was
not going
like,
to do
no,
it.
we are a good team. We aren't doo doo.
Yeah. I am rooting for the Thunder and the Mavericks throughout this playoff. I think the Thunder can pull off the win over the Rockets. I don't think the Mavericks can pull it off against the Clippers.
Ooh, actually, a team that I wouldn't be upset to just win the entire thing would be the Nuggets. I
They're a fun team. My problem with them though is it seems like for the past 3 or 4 years they've been a good team, and they
yeah,
just have been completely irrelevant almost once we get to the playoffs. And I don't.
but
It
this
just
year,
them and the Jazz. They always seem to be up there, and then they just do nothing in the playoffs. Like they might as well not have done
they got Bol Bol rolling out. All right, they got Bol Bol in that starting lineup. Have you seen that starting lineup?
that. Mm-mm.
The Rockets. have the smallest starting lineup, right? The
Yeah,
Nuggets have the tallest starting lineup. It is a monster starting
probably
lineup.
they have the slowest starting lineup
No,
then.
no, 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 no. Bobo can ball, all right? He was slept on. He was a late second round draft pick when he should have been an early first round draft pick, all right? He's good. He he's as tall
Let's
as Taco with a wider wingspan.
Is Taco on their team or the Celtics, or is he
Yeah,
on
he's on the Celtics.
the? Oh,
Taco
he
is on the
is. Okay, he's
Celtics. Yeah,
playing
he's
in
in the
the.
bubble. Yeah, I believe.
Okay,
I think he has limited minutes, but he's playing.
because I remember he used to be part of the G League team they had, right?
Hmm.
They put him down, but they brought him back up,
Yeah.
so it'll be fun to watch.
And then I just think the Nuggets have a good shot, especially over the Jazz, because it's just Jazz have Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, but they hate each other. And
Yeah,
I don't know if they hate each
I
other,
think
but that's yeah.
it's interesting looking at it. I'm like, the Nuggets, Clippers are miles ahead of everyone else. And I look and I'm like, they're only 2 to 4 wins ahead of everyone else.
Hmm.
So I'm like, you look at you're like the Nuggets and Jazz. Nuggets clearly going to win, but the Nuggets only have one more. Like if the Nuggets had one less win and the Jazz had one more, that's the same record right there.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem to me like they're that close yet. Winning wise, they are.
So that could probably bring up a thing of like, can the Nugget close out games, right? I don't know if they can or
I
not.
don't think it's can they close the games. It's can they close games in the playoffs, because the playoffs are the only place where they haven't done well.
Right. I don't
But the
know.
Jazz have the same exact problem. They do good in the season and they don't do well in the playoffs. So this is whoever the so the Nuggets Jazz winner ends up playing the Clippers Mavericks winner.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever wins between the Clippers and Mavs is getting a guaranteed shot into the conference championship. I don't think the Nuggets or Jazz are good enough teams to beat either of them in the playoffs. They just buckle for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, another story.
Although this, how would you compare the Mavericks and the Lakers? Because Doncic gets compared to LeBron a lot, which I think is a pretty legitimate comparison. Do you think uh, Porzingis could be his AD? And if you do think he can, then are the Mavericks enough like the Lakers to be able to beat the Clippers in a 7 game series?
I really do like the Mavericks, and I feel like maybe this year isn't their year, but give it a year or two, and they're gonna be really good, like really
Mm,
good. If they build the right team around those two players, they're gonna be stupid good. Same thing with the Lakers are good, but it's also one of the things where it's like, how long
you know it's
can
going
they
to
be
end
good?
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, how long can they be
The
good?
Mavericks are the exact opposite. It's how
Yeah.
long will they be good?
Hmm. And then the Nuggets is they've been good, but playoffs they don't
Mm.
they aren't good. The
Which is
Nug
essentially the same thing as the 4 and 5 seed. The 4 seed, obviously being the Thunder and the Rockets. The Thunder have always made it to the playoffs and then crumbled, yet they did it with superstars. So will not having superstars make them a better team? And ironically, they're going to have to beat one of their old superstars in order to do it. And he's on a team who also struggles crumbling in the playoffs. I don't think a Harden Russell Westbrook combo, and he Russell isn't even playing in the first round, then it's basically Chris Paul versus James Harden, which is what didn't work out in the first place.
Yeah. All right. Ooh, wow. Okay. So, a little update. The Trailblazers won 134 to 133. So the Nuggets
Oh,
really gave it to them. They did not let them
yeah.
have it easy. Or not the Nugget, the Nets, the
Nuggets,
Nets,
the Nets.
the Nets, my bad. So, the Nets didn't give it to them easily. So, it's either going to be the Blazers or the Grizzlies playing the Lakers, which
Yeah,
I feel bad for the Suns
which,
because they
yeah.
went 8-0 in the bubble. They ran the tables
But
going into
again, it's the bubble. So
it's the
it's
bubble.
clear going 8-0. I mean, You can go 4-0 in the preseason. Don't mean you're good.
No, but here's the thing: going into the bubble, they had a 0.3% chance of making the playoffs, and
Hmm.
just earlier
They
today,
narrowed it down to 50-50.
yeah, just like it was like they
Or
really
not
had
50-50. I mean, I guess the Grizzlies, Blazers have 50-50, but they narrowed it very close.
they really just ran the tables, which is sad, but like
They did everything they could do in
they
their power
yeah
to win.
they
It
did
still
everything
didn't
they
work
could.
out.
Yeah, everything they controlled their destiny, but their destiny was out of their hands.
Yeah.
Um,
So we
another
both got the Lakers over anybody, and then I don't know.
I have the
I'm
Thunder. I'd like the Thunder
I'm
more. Rockets
like
doo
I
doo.
also have the Thunder. I
It's
have
like
the Thunder
doo
over the
doo.
Rockets. I have the Nuggets over the Jazz. The
But
Clippers Mavericks series I think will be the best series. Actually, I think the Clippers Mavericks and Thunder Rockets series will be the most fun to watch. And I think I'll probably say the Clippers win the Mavericks series, but I think the Mavericks, if they come back next season
we'll be
as
way
good
better.
or
Yeah.
better than this season, then they could definitely beat the Clippers.
We also have to account one of these teams aren't gonna be here next year because the Warriors are coming back.
That's true.
They
I mean, the team is going to be the Grizzlies that aren't there, though. I think. I
yeah.
don't think it's
But
much
I don't think the Warriors are gonna be the
debate.
8th seed.
That's true. But I think what will probably happen is you also got to think about teams that aren't in it and that could be in it. Besides the Warriors,
Spurs, which they
the
actually
Spurs.
snapped their 23, 22-year
Hmm.
playoff streak today because they didn't make it, and
Where did
the
what's
last
his name?
hmm,
The Warriors. D'Angelo Russell. Where did he go?
he went to the Minnesota Timberwolves,
Yeah, the
right?
Minnesota Timberwolves. So
Which
they have a shot. The
no,
Pelicans, I think, have a shot.
oh my God, the West is just good.
The West is
it's
good. I don't know if
it's
it's good, but
it's
it's
just more
fun to
competitive.
watch.
Yeah,
Yes, it's more fun because like looking at it, it's like next season. So this season we have 10 teams in the West who are viable playoff teams, like they could get in. Next season we could have 13 teams in the
well,
West
no,
that are viable.
this season it was 13. It's just the Pelicans and the Kings were straight doo doo in the bubble, and
Mm,
yeah, they didn't do anything. Like, ooh, the Pelicans though. Rest in peace. Also, JJ Redick's streak of making the playoffs. He
yeah,
hadn't missed the playoffs. Actually, he never missed the playoffs. He went
he's never
every
missed
4 years of
in
high
his
school
career.
playoffs, 4 years of college playoffs, every year of the NBA playoffs, and New Orleans
He's a Zion.
Pelicans.
He's a bust.
Yeah, honestly, I don't.
Totally, it's all his.
No, I there's reports coming out that the Pelicans are gonna essentially not blow up, but ship some pieces out. Like Lonzo, there's reports that they didn't like how he played in the bubble, and they're most likely going to see or try to trade him out, which is fair. Lonzo did not play that well in
Yeah,
the bubble. As much as people, I like him. I think he's going to be a good player, and I'm upset that the Lakers got rid of him because I'd much rather have
yeah.
him than like Rajon
I'd have
Rondo.
him than Rondo. Yeah, I like Rondo, but I would prefer to take Lonzo at his point in his career versus Rondo at his point.
Yeah, yeah.
But you also got to think we didn't trade Lonzo for Rondo. We traded Lonzo for
AD.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah. So it's fine. I also liked Josh Hart, but you know what? I'm not a part of the. I'm not leading the
This is why you're
organization.
not the GM.
Yeah, I liked every single player
You
that
would have
they
been
sent.
like, I like Lonzo and Josh Hart. I don't want to get Anthony Davis.
I like Josh Hart. I like Lonzo. Brandon Ingram,
This isn't.
he's okay. I think he's. I think he could possibly, if we developed him, could be like a quarter or half the player that AD is. So I
I
mean,
think it's ironic. You and I both agree on all three of these players, and yet, as of right now, Brandon Ingram is clearly the best one, and Alonzo and Josh Hart, we're betting on potential.
I just. I mean, they tug at your heartstrings. I mean, they're such adorable players, and you can't not hate them. Josh Hart, an adorable name. All right, Joshua Hart. You can't get mad at that. Um, and
I didn't even make it through the first podcast before you said something sus. I can't.
I mean, okay. Yeah, the Pelicans, I don't know. I just think it's a bad organization. They really
Yeah.
they have good players in there. I just don't see them becoming or
Hmm.
being successful. Minnesota, there's actually a rumor going around that they're going to be sold off to a team, to somebody like Kevin Garnett. I read
Hmm.
this. Kevin Garnett wants to buy Minnesota and move them back to Seattle, or I don't not move back, but move them to Seattle,
Yeah.
which I like. I'd much rather have a Seattle team, but whatever. And then Sacramento, they're a decent team, but they're not a great team, so they'll always be
Hmm.
out of the
They're
playoffs, I
always just
think.
average.
Yeah,
They're somewhere between 10 and 12 every year.
yeah. And then
And then Spurs could come back. I
Spurs.
don't know. I don't think the Suns stay as competitive as they were. And I feel like they were just competitive because of the bubble. No bubble, I don't think they really have a shot.
Well, they have Devin Booker, Aiton, which honestly, the Suns were having a good season up until that Aiton suspension.
Hmm.
So maybe he doesn't get suspended, and they have a better chance of making the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I think again the top teams in the West are going to stay the top teams, and then the fun teams to watch are going to be the 9 through 14 seeds.
Yeah. See whoever fights for like 5, 6, and 7 and 8. Even Oklahoma. Oklahoma down.
Yeah, they're going down. They're not going to be 4, but I could see them as 8.
Yeah. Ooh. There's also, I don't know if you how much you know about this. There's a rumor floating around that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to try to trade for Ben Simmons.
I hope they do. He deserves it.
So, in this reported trade, the Cleveland Cavaliers pick up Ben Simmons but they ship out Kevin Love and Saxon and like a couple draft picks.
That makes the 76ers significantly better.
Yeah, honestly.
I think so. But significantly better in the East means that they go from being the 42 win 6 seed to being the 45 win 6 seed. It's just a bigger drop off from
Nah,
6 to
they
7.
could probably go 6 to 4.
I don't think, I mean, I don't I don't think the Bucks, Raptors, Celtics or Heat fall to the 76ers even with them. And if the Pacers get Oladipo back, I think they stay at 5.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
then you
right.
also have to
Because
think about Kyrie Irving and KD are coming back next
and
season,
then
and the
the
Nets are
Nets.
gonna go.
Oh wow,
76ers
Sixers could fall
are
down
gonna
to
be stuck
7.
there,
Yeah, they
but still
really.
get better.
Yeah, that is rough. Yeah, it is such a hard drop off. Like,
It's so top heavy because think about it. After the 76ers, the next best team is the Magic.
and the Magic aren't that great. They're gonna get wiped by the Bucks in 4, and then there's no one in that 10-9 range.
Hmm. I think it's
Ooh,
interesting. The Knicks and the Hawks, you would argue, have the next two best superstars though in the East, and yet they are very far from being in the
the
playoffs. But
Hawks
then you look in
just
the Western Conference, and they have a bunch of superstars. And those teams that have like those perennial superstars or have one star are generally higher up. I'd say the Grizzlies are probably the only team in there that you can't really point to anyone and say that's a absolute superstar right there.
they have their Jay Morant. I believe that's how you say his name.
Oh, Ja Morant.
Ja Morant. Yeah, they have him. And so that's their superstar. I
Yeah,
believe to solidify the play-in game, he got a triple double tonight.
yeah,
So
I like him, but it's
it's
just
rough.
interesting because
Yeah.
most people, the way you talk about Ja Morant versus the way you hear people talk about um, Trae Young,
Mhm.
it's like you would expect more from Trae Young, and yet he consistently doesn't provide wins. And we make the excuse, oh, he's on a bad team. Well, Ja Morant is not on a good team, and yet he's winning and he's in a harder conference. I don't see the love that Trae Young's receiving. I don't see where it's really coming from.
Yeah, no, Trae Young, I just don't see as a. I mean, he's dropping like 30 a game, but it's like,
But you can look and say those are garbage time points. Like
right,
when
those
you're
are
dropping
garbage
30, but
time
you're
numbers.
down by 80, like
And then there's reports coming out that the Hawks want to draft Lonzo Ball on top of that, and that team's not going to get any better. I like Lonzo Ball, and he's a really good scorer, but that's
you
just
mean
not.
LeVar or not LeVar? What's his name?
Oh wait,
LiAngelo?
Lamelo,
LaMelo?
Lamelo,
LaMelo.
Lamelo. My bad. Yeah. He's a good player. He's a good shooter. He can score the basketball. It's just that's not what the Hawks need. They don't need
Yeah.
another guy that can drop 30 a game. They need a guy that can like stop the other team because Trae Young
No. They
can't
want to
stop
be
the
at the
other team.
team when they're down by 80. Trae Young gives them 30. No, they want Trae Young and LiAngelo to get them 60, lose by 20, not another 30. Okay.
That's I don't know. It's rough. All right, do you want to?
Although I saw a mock that had LaMelo going to the Pistons, which they had LaMelo going to the Pistons at 4 too. So
I think that this draft is going to be interesting. I think the is it this draft or is it the next draft where all the G League players, like the top players from? Oh yeah, no, I think it is the next draft where um, G League players like this season or this year, a bunch of like the top recruits in the nation for basketball, instead of going to college, they went to the G League, and so they're
hmm,
after this year they're going to be eligible for the NBA draft. So it's going to be really interesting to
nice.
see how they turn out because they didn't go to college; they went straight to the G League.
Yeah.
I
Well, I don't think we finished the Western bracket. Should we
did we
finish that? We
did
got
we? I feel like
sidetracked. I don't think we because so we said Lakers. I think we both agreed Clippers, unless although I
no,
would
no,
say if
no.
the
I say
Mavericks,
the Mavericks all the way,
you say the
baby.
Mavericks.
They are
I say
they are destined for
the
greatness.
Mavericks are too young right now. But if the Mavericks win, I think they have a legitimate chance to possibly win it all. I think LeBron would be their only obstacle.
Mm. And then I think Nuggets,
I
Thunder,
think Nuggets,
and
and we
then
both think Thunder. And then from there, the Lakers would play
the
the
Thunder.
Nuggets or
No, they
Thunder,
play the
right?
Thunder.
Or the Nuggets. The
What?
Thunder. Yeah, my
Yeah,
bad. I'm looking at it wrong. Yeah, they
yeah.
play the Thunder.
Which I
As
said
much
the
as I love the
Lakers.
Thunder, the Lakers are
Yeah.
obviously going to win. And
Uh,
then I think
the Nuggets. I think
even
it's
if,
gonna be the
if the
Lakers
Clippers or
Nuggets.
Mavericks win, I think either way, the Nuggets lose.
Wow, cold blooded.
I just don't
You
believe in
hate.
the Nuggets. I
I
like the
believe.
Nuggets, but I don't believe in them.
I believe. I believe in the
And
Nuggets.
then beyond, so you have Lakers Nuggets.
I do. I think.
I have Lakers, either Clippers or Mavericks, and either way, I think the Lakers win.
Okay, I think it's gonna be a nice, hard fought series. Maybe go all the way to seven, but ultimately Lakers. Yeah. Yeah, I think
So
it's
that would leave us with the finals:
Lakers
Lakers,
Bucks or something.
Bucks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really just the one seeds are like the one seeds this year are like they are the teams, right?
Yes, they are.
It's hard to go against them, but chances are something different's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We'll see when it happens. When it happens, right?
But Lakers, Bucks. I mean, I even then, I feel like the Lakers are pretty significantly ahead of the Bucks because they have two legitimate superstars you point to, and they have a third in Kuzma who can come up when needed. You look at the Bucks, and like we were talking about earlier, they have Young, and the next best guy is Chris Middleton, and not even then, the next best guy is their coach.
Nah, bro, you're forgetting on the Lopez brothers, bro. They're both in there, or the other Antetokounmpo.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just it's Lakers all the way. I don't see another scenario.
okay, so I wanna. All right, so we had our NBA talk for the last couple minutes of the show here. I think we should pivot to the NFL and just I'm gonna hit you with some stories. All right.
Okay.
All right. So first story, fresh off the papers. Majority owners of the Washington football team are reportedly trying to pressure Dan Snyder into
Oh
selling,
yeah, they want Dan Snyder to sell out.
which I think is
I
hilarious.
100% agree that he needs to be gone.
All right.
He's ruining that team.
Yeah, no, he should have been gone years ago, honestly. The
Should've.
whole name and everything should have been dealt
When I
with
think
years
of
ago.
Dan Snyder, I think of the clip of the 49ers owner, Jed York. An
Hmm.
interviewer asking him, it's right after, I think, our 2-14 season with Tom Sula. They ask him, how do you feel about how poorly upper management has been handling this? Because obviously, because he was talking about bad culture, and he's like,
Yeah.
culture trickles down from the top. So do you think that there's a change in leadership that needs to be happen? And Jed York goes, do you think, are you suggesting we get a new owner? And he's like, well, I'm not saying that necessarily. He's like, you can't fire the owner. I'm not getting fired. When I think of Dan Snyder, I think of that interview. Everyone's like, you need to leave. And Dan Snyder's like, no,
You can't
I'm not
fire.
leaving. I'm
You
the
can't
owner.
fire
I'm the
me.
boss.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. Next story. We have rookie center from Dustin Woodward of the Patriots is retiring. You probably don't know anything about him. I really don't know anything
Mm-mm.
about him. All I know is that he's retiring and he's a rookie, which is I think it's
Yeah.
odd, but it has nothing to
The
do with
last
COVID,
time,
reportedly.
what's it got to do with?
Huh?
Does it have to do with
He's
Because I
just walking
remember.
away.
Oh,
He
that's it.
said like he's just done with football, which I don't. I mean,
Because
I don't know.
I remember. I think it was Tim's. It was the year after we went 8-8. The Niners. Patrick Willis had retired, right?
Hmm.
And Chris Borland came in, and he was playing just as good as any rookie linebacker you could expect.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, he's like, "I'm gonna retire because I watched the movie Concussion, and I don't want to play anymore."
Yeah, yeah. So
Come on,
I don't know what. Obviously, he wants to retire. That's up to him. You know,
yeah.
best of luck to him. Um,
Oh, speaking of the Pats, though, I did see Lamar Miller signed a 1-year contract,
he
which
did. He did.
doesn't sound relevant because it's Lamar Miller and he hasn't
But
done much recently. But when
it's
he
the
is
Patriots.
healthy, it is the Patriots, and they already have Sony Michel, and they have Cam Newton now. So their running game,
Yes.
they could switch from being a short pass team to being
A
we're going to
very run
ground and
heavy.
pound team.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Patriots are interesting because if you look at them, a lot of players opted out. I just want to throw this number out real quick before I continue that train of thought. The total number of players that opted out for for this upcoming NFL season was 69 players. Very nice. Um, but the Patriots, yeah, they're an interesting team because so many players opted out, but they also have so much cap space
Hmm.
where they can really do anything right now. So, and they even got Cam Newton on a cheap deal, so it's like they even have more cap space than they realistically
Yeah.
should have or should have.
Speaking of cap space,
The Chiefs,
what
the
are the Chiefs
Chiefs,
doing
the Chiefs.
exactly?
I don't understand.
Where is it? I didn't look at the contract, but I'm assuming it is backloaded
Uh,
even more the Chris
oh.
Jones or Patrick Mahomes deals.
Okay, so
Because Travis
I
Kelsey,
remember showing you this statistic a couple months ago, right, John? Where I believe it was in March or May. I may have my months messed up, but a couple months ago,
oh yeah, they had like $20
they had
in cap
$135
space or something.
in total cap space. Total cap space. I bet you
uh,
anybody listening to this, you and me included, have more than that in the bank than how much the Chiefs had to spend on football operations. Like, I don't understand
so
how they've managed
think
to
about.
get
Let's say they
players.
didn't change anything, right? Let's just have
Hmm.
to think they have 135 right now. The three contracts they've signed, at most, they're paying those players
I
fifty
don't.
bucks this year.
Yeah. No, well, they restructured Sammy Watkins' contract. They let go of a bunch of people. They have money for this season, but it's still like you guys are gonna run out of money. Like you
Yeah,
really don't
they
have
remind
money.
me. I look at people keep saying, "Are they the new Patriots?" I look at them, and they are what I'm afraid the Lakers are going to turn into, where they're becoming a top-heavy team that's built on their superstars, And unlike basketball, you can't have LeBron out there playing for 8 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Tyreek, Kelsey, they take significant breaks throughout the game. They aren't in there every rep. The
Yeah.
quarterback and the offensive lineman are the only guys who are in there every single play. So when you're relying on your Chris Joneses and Tyrann Matthews to save you, you're not going to last. You don't have. It's not even that you have bad bench players. The Chiefs don't have bench players. They got to cut them when they cap space.
Okay, so I want to. So the Travis Kelsey deal is for 4 years for
Mm-hmm.
$57.25 million.
Mm-hmm.
So but only 28 million of that is guaranteed. But I'm also assuming that it's very back heavy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they just don't have money for these next
Yeah,
couple
they
years.
just don't have the money.
Same thing.
No, I think it's interesting though with him. A lot of times at NFL players, you see them like one good player gets a contract, so the next contract beats that one.
He
With
didn't.
this though,
He didn't.
Kittle got his contract like 4 hours earlier, and it
Or
was significantly bigger.
well,
5
actually,
years,
is it
75
is it that he
million.
got it 4 hours earlier, or was it
It
just
was
announced,
reported
right?
35, but that's the thing. It was reported 35 or 4 hours earlier, which means Kelsey heard about it before he officially signed his deal.
I don't. Maybe it's. I don't. Obviously, I don't know the inner workings of NFL contract, but in the ins and outs of it. But I'm just assuming that it was one of those things where it's like he probably had that contract laying around for like before Kittle's contract
See, I
officially
don't
came out.
think NFL teams would operate like I think once the player signs, then it's immediately announced. Because even with the Lamar Miller deal I mentioned, he hasn't officially signed yet. It's just he's agreed to it on conditions of him passing a physical.
Right.
So when contracts are getting reported that haven't even actually been signed yet, I think ones that are officially signed are very recent, and the release date of when we got the announcement versus when the contract was actually signed are very
Correct.
close in time.
All right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. George Kittle, now the highest paid NFL tight end ever.
Mm-hmm.
5 years.
And he's coming up on. I'm trying to think. And even in terms of a wide receiver, that's a significant amount of money.
Yeah,
it's not
close.
the most like he's not getting paid like a Michael Thomas or Julio Jones, but he's getting paid
like a Brandon
very
Cooks or
a high amount of money to play tight end, which I think
actually
if players like him continue to come out, that could be a new trend because you have players who are blocking and catching versus players like a receiver like an Odell who's just catching the ball for you.
I think we're coming towards the end of the show here, but I just want to end it with one last thing. The Seahawks released a rookie cornerback by the name of Khalid Silverand, I believe that's how you say his name.
Something like that.
For bringing home a lady friend to the Seahawks training facility in the middle of the night when he shouldn't have. And you just can't be doing that, man. You just can't be doing that. Can't be bringing lady friends
by his own team.
Especially it's a dumb mistake to be doing when they tell you not to bring anyone, but especially during the situations that we're in now with like COVID-19 and like NFL facilities like very strict.
It's a dumb mistake you would expect a rookie player to make, but because it's a rookie player, the punishment is harsher.
Yeah.
And so it's very
well. He's also
ironic.
an unrestricted or what was it? An undrafted rookie player. Which, if you look at his story on how he got to the league, it's like one of the it's inspiring, right? Like as every undrafted rookie is, it's like wow, he really fought tooth and nail to get to the league, and damn, he brought a lady friend. Lady friend. It just goes to show you don't need lady friends, all right?
I wonder how did they find out? Like
they caught him. They caught him on camera. But
they caught him on camera sneaking in.
But you want to know what he did to try to get around that? He dressed her up in Seahawks apparel, trying to convince them that she was a player. So, Yeah, you can't. Lady friends bring you down. You don't need lady friends.
Hmm.
I feel like that's gonna be the
Women are
closing
bad.
statement for
That's
me.
how we're gonna close
Yeah,
this
we're gonna close it out.
episode.
All right, thank you for listening. Tune in Tuesday. We should have another episode up, and have a good one, y'all.